All right, this week we've got another week with no lab, so that's the good news. What I want you to focus on though is our test is coming up next week. So take all of that time you would do dissecting a frog or whatever we're going to dissect next, and I want you to focus on studying and really preparing for this next exam. All right. So here's the good news: is that it's only on mollusk that we did last week, arthropods, and echinoderms, which we're going to do this week. So the arthropods lecture video is 3 parts, and they're about 30 minutes apiece. So that's only an hour and a half of lecture. That's not bad at all. The echinoderms lecture is just one section, and it's like 25 minutes. So altogether, you got like 2 hours worth of lecture to watch. That's a really light week in here. So seriously, you've got a bunch of time. I want you to take advantage of that and make sure that you're really preparing for next week's exam. All right. There's a lot of taxonomy, so go back. I know that the study guide is very just kind of vague, and it really is just an outline of the material that we went through. But all of the taxonomy, so know the different phyla, the orders, the subphyla, all of those things. And the best way to do that is just to make note cards and kind of quiz yourself until you feel really comfortable with those. All right? I don't think, right now at least in this class, there's not really any like hard processes that we've got to learn. Later on, it'll get a little tougher when we start looking at like fungi and things like that. But I think the challenge of the class right now is it's just there's so many terms and so much vocabulary and so much taxonomy. So the absolute key to that is getting familiar with it before the test. If I try to learn like 20 different orders and classes and everything overnight before the test, that's going to get me in trouble. But if I wait now, you've got over a week before the test. If I start now and work on that, you can get really comfortable with it. All right. So study, watch the lecture videos, take notes. Let me know if you have any questions. But number one, big thing this week is to study and get ready for that test. All right. If you didn't do as well as you wanted to on the first exam, here's a good chance to get a solid 100-point test grade in there and bump your average up a little bit. All right. The only other thing you might want to look at is next week we've got a lab on protostomes. And that's not a terribly long lab. You're going to have more dissection than you did last time. Last time we just did like an earthworm. So there's going to be more dissection than the protostomes. So if you wanted to, since you have some free time, it might not be a bad idea to go ahead and do the protostomes lab or at least get started on it. All right. This is down the road, but let me go ahead and tell you. Next week is the protostomes lab and you've got your test. But the following week is on deuterostomes. That lab is a lot longer. It actually recommends for you to have like 5.5 hours to complete that lab. So what I would do is, since you've got an easier week this week as far as not a bunch of material to do, go ahead and get started on those other labs early if you want to. Definitely go ahead and work on the protostomes this week if you want to. And that way, if you've got that out, that'll give you like 2 weeks to do the protostomes or deuterostomes next week. That's the really long one that's coming up. All right, so that's it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be glad to help. Thanks.